Okay, so we are moving on to Unit 2-3, the trial balance and preparing financial statements. So this is page 51 in your textbook. So we are going to look at all of these different T accounts that we did in the last section. We made our T accounts. We figured out which side everything went on. Now we're going to start to total these things up. Okay? Hopefully by these groupings you can kind of see what's going on in each of the accounts a little bit clearer. And so when all the transactions are recorded in the accounts, the total side of debits, all the debits should equal all the credits. Left should always equal the right, and we are going to prove that as we go along. Okay. So we're going to use footings to find the balance of each of these T accounts. So a footing is going to be the total on each side. So here you have a footing of $10,700 and a footing of $2,400. All they did was add up both sides. 7,000 plus 3,000 plus 700 gives you this footing. 900, 600, 700, 200 gives you 2,400. So those are footings. They will aid us in finding that final balance of a T account. Okay? So in this case here, since the 10,000 is larger than the 2,000, this is how it's going to be for all of our T accounts. Whichever side is higher, we're going to subtract the other side from it. So we subtract that 2,400 from the 10,000, and we get our new balance of 8,300. We put it on the side that is highest. Okay, so when we're doing this, our total goes on the side that has more, a higher number. So let's look at accounts receivable. We have 4,000 on the debit, 700 on the credit side. So we subtract 700 from 4,000, and we put our ending balance of 3,300 on the debit side. For office equipment, it's kind of a glare, sorry. So for office equipment, we add it all up and it stays on the same side. When we move over to our liabilities, again, we add our 400 and 300, keep our 700 on the right side. That's the ending balance in the credit side. For capital, there's only one entry here. We don't have to do anything. We don't need to add the number, like we don't have to add 0 or anything. Just leave it how it is. Same for withdrawals. Don't be adding any extra numbers that we don't need. Here for revenue, add the 3,000 and 4,000. Your ending balance there. Same thing here. Don't do anything. There's only one number entered. Leave it be. Okay? So let's see here. So like a smaller business could find these ending balances every day. That would be best case scenario, but larger businesses, it's completely impractical to do that. So typically they won't. And so typically our trial balance will be done periodically so we can see our totals. Again, so that trial balance is just an informal statement for us to be able to see what our totals are. So I'm going to move the book over here to page 52. So we flipped and we're on page 52. And we're going to take a look at this trial balance. So take a look at each of these accounts. They should be listed in the same order that they're written in their T accounts. So if you flipped back to page 51, you would see that we did our assets first, right? The T accounts were straight down, and then we did the account equals liabilities, and then it was everything that falls under owner's equity. And we want to keep these in the same order when we do our trial balance. So we took cash. Let's flip back. Page 51, you'll have to keep flipping back and forth. It's not going to be easy for me right here, but that's okay. So if you look at cash, remember we did our footings and our ending balance was $8,300 on the debit side. That's where we get the number on page 52. $8,300 on the debit side. So we do that for each of these accounts on page 51. Accounts receivable, ending balance was $3,300 on debit side. Equipment was $2,100 on the debit side. Then we had some on the credit side, and we go through every single T account and add in all those numbers. To find our total for this trial balance, we add up the debit side, add up the credit side, and we should have equal sides. They should always be in balance. Now remember, this trial balance is an informal statement. This is not a formal financial statement. It's just kind of a stepping stone for us to get to our actual financial statements that we have over here. The income statement, the statement of owner's equity, and the balance sheet. We should be familiar with these. We would pull our numbers from our trial balance to create these balance sheets, income statements, and statements of owner's equity. Okay? So we get our trial balance from our T accounts, and we get our numbers for our financial statements from the trial balance. So let's do one together. We will be on page 2A3. And we'll be doing page 63, example 2A3. And this will be this worksheet, 2A3, with Mike's window washing trial balance at the bottom. Okay? So example 2A3 says, from the following T accounts, I'm going to get this just a hair closer for us. From the following T accounts of Mike's window washing service, record the foot and balances in study guide and working papers when appropriate, and prepare a trial balance in proper form for May. So what we're going to do is we are going to find our foot and balance. So let's just start with cash, and here we have $5,000, $3,500. So on the left, on the debit, we would have $8,500, and on the right, we need to add all these up. So there's $1,600, $800, $1,800. So that's what we have for cash, and this is our footings right now, right? And we need, I'm sorry about that. This is our footings, and we need to get our ending balance. So we take $1,800 minus, or we subtract the $1,800 from the $8,500. So our ending balance is going to go on our debit side, because this side has more money in it, and it's going to be $6,700. Let's just draw a line under here. That's not straight, sorry. Okay, let's move on to our accounts receivable, which is right here. So our receivables have $6,500 on the debit side and $3,500 on the credit side, and we need to get an ending balance. So we take $6,500 minus $3,500, and our ending balance will go on the debit side, and it will be $3,000. I'm just drawing a line. Okay? Office equipment. Down here, we have $1,300 and $200, all on the debit side. So all we need to do is add those up. Our ending balance will be here. On the debit side, it will be $1,500. Moving on to our accounts payable. Right here. So we have $100 on the debit, $1,300 on the credit. We subtract $100 from $1,300. So $1,200 is our ending balance on the credit side of accounts payable. Then we have Mike Frank Capital. Okay, nothing's really going on, so we're just gonna put that $5,000 in here so we know what that number is when we do our trial balance. Then we have Mike Frank withdrawals, same thing, $900 on the debit side. We don't have to do anything there. Now we have fees earned. It's just one transaction on the credit side. And then we have rent expense, $400, and utilities is $200. Okay, so at this point we have an ending balance for every single T account listed. So that means we can move on to our trial balance. Now we're going to move down here, and we're going to make a trial balance using the amounts we just totaled. And we're going to go in order. So we'll start with cash. Up here, our cash ending balance is $6,700 on the debit side. $6,700 on the debit side. Then we have accounts receivable. Okay, accounts receivable. We have an ending balance of $3,000 on the debit side. Next, office equipment. Ending balance $1,500 debit side. Next, we'll go to our accounts payable, and we have an ending balance of $1,200, but this time on the credit side. So make sure that one goes on the credit side. And then we have M. Frank Capital, and that is $5,000 credit. Withdrawals. $900 debit. Fees earned. Our fees earned is $6,500 on the credit side. Then we have rent, and then we have utilities. Rent is $400 on the debit, $200 on the debit for expenses. So we're going to put this here. Okay, now we're going to total it all up. Write your totals and add it up. I'm going to start over here. 6, 11, 12, 7. $12,700. Again, these should be equal. They should be completely, perfectly balanced, and they are, so we know that we did it correctly. Alright, so that is the end of the lesson for Monday, October 2nd. Your homework is to do 2A4. 2A4 is to use the trial balance given to you here with all the accounts and numbers to create an income statement, a statement of owner's equity, and a balance sheet. We know how to make those. We did them in the last chapter. Now you're just using information from here to do that. So that is your homework after you review this lesson. That's all.